the lead advisor stood upright on the Celestial Dawn's control platform. He possessed a double heartbeat under his chest, his reptilian eyes darting between the monitor and the uneasy expressions of the diplomats encircling him. Everyone awaited either rescue or catastrophe. 13 vessels appeared at the fringe of the Dark Consortium's realm, giant entities equipped with sophisticated arms casting a menacing shadow. Long fingers drummed nervously on the barrier in front of him. The Drass had arrived. The Drass were not simply another adversary, they were nightmares incarnate. The Consortium was aware of their brutal conquests throughout the cosmos, shattering societies and leaving nothing but quietude behind. They demanded off from whole star clusters, and when it was not accorded, they obliterated everything in their trajectory. VR swallowed his fear. This was the scenario he had dreaded throughout his existence, the instant when every established diplomatic link of the Consortium would be put to the test against the most feared force in the galaxy. Behind him on the platform, the 13 envoys from the Planet Union sat in a loose semicircle. Their shared apprehension was evident, each represented a different species, from the massive bear-like Euro to the pale, telepathic Alvan. Alone, each wielded their world's might, but today they seemed merely petrified beings awaiting a verdict that might doom them. A lead advisor was supposed to steer them, yet at this juncture, V felt as if he were escorting them straight into the maw of obliteration. Briefly, his view settled on the Council's newest addition. The human envoy, Captain Mark Callahan, remained a mystery to V and the rest. Humans had entered the Consortium only months before, a decision fraught with controversy. Callahan, youthful and impulsive, sat disorderly in his chair, yet a faint grin played on his lips, his demeanor calm despite the tense atmosphere. V couldn't understand, was it arrogance, folly, or something else? His ruminations were abruptly cut off as the display lit up. The Drass flagship dominated the view, a jagged, dark vessel radiating threat. The Drass leader, tall and gaunt with his slightly luminescent green skin against the backdrop shadows, displayed a stern visage devoid of emotion. But his eyes, they drilled into V's very essence, acute and relentless. Forcing himself to maintain eye contact, V spoke, his voice wavering a bit. Commander VOR began, "You are formidable and grand. We are privileged to welcome you here and meet you with humility." The Drass leader remained silent, his look dissecting the faces on the screen. A prolonged, torturous pause ensued. Eventually, the leader spoke in a low, menacing tone, "You may refer to me as Commander," his voice cold and scornful. V bowed slightly, "We greatly value your patience and leniency." From the corner of his eye, V noticed Callahan stifling a snicker. Rage filled him, now was not the time for irreverence. "What do you propose to the Drass envoy?" the commander demanded, his tone cutting like a blade. V gulped. This was the decisive moment, every utterance bore the lives of countless. He advanced and bowed again as the leader of the Union. "I propose the third sector of our solar system, rich in resources, 3 inhabitable planets, 3 mineral-rich asteroids, and a rogue planet with valuable moons." The commander tilted his head, a hint of disappointment crossing his features, then waved dismissively. One by one, the envoys presented the riches of their worlds, their voices quivering as they offered fleets, minerals, and treasures, hoping it would be enough to secure their survival. Yet, the commander's face remained impassive, unimpressed. At last, it was Callahan's turn. V braced himself, praying the human would not act impulsively. Callahan stood, determined yet defiant. "Commander," he began, his voice firm, "we cannot surrender control of our systems or resources." V's heart stopped. What was Callahan doing? "What we offer," Callahan continued, "is a choice." A deafening silence followed. Every gaze turned to Callahan. V gripped the rail tightly, his knuckles white. The Drass leader's eyes shifted to Callahan, his expression unreadable. "Are you challenging us?" he hissed, venom dripping from his words. Before V could intervene, the leader commanded, "Silence, worm. Let the human speak." Callahan faced the leader's glare unflinchingly. "I am not merely defying you," he declared, his voice rising. "I assert that under no circumstances will we yield to you." V collapsed to the floor in despair. It was finished, they were all doomed. Yet, the Drass leader did not react with immediate destruction. Instead, he seemed even more resolved. "You amuse me," he said calmly. "Challenging us because we've become complacent isn't power, it's stagnation." The other diplomats were silent, shocked as much by Callahan's audacity as V was. Unable to plead for mercy, his bravery completely eclipsed by fear, V watched. The leader laughed, a deep, resonant, and unsettling laugh, not a reaction of offense, but something otherworldly. "You make me laugh, human," the leader declared. "For ages, we've had no reason to smile." He leaned in, his eyes shining. "We've searched for a race that would face us with fire instead of fear. Every race has knelt, we've grown weary of their cowardice." The leader's smile broadened, revealing his sharp teeth. "But you are different." Callahan stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the screen. "Let's be honest, you came not just to claim land but to find a fight." The leader's eyes glimmered with a flickering, ominous light. "Yes," he admitted quietly, "but not just any fight, a genuine challenge, one to push us to our limits." The tension in the room shifted. This was no longer mere negotiation. Callahan crossed his arms, his face resolute. "Then let's end this pretense," he said. "If you seek a challenge, we'll provide one, but not through combat, not yet." The leader's sharp teeth gleamed as his grin widened. "You propose war games, a test of strength and strategy?" Callahan nodded. "If we fail, you'll have what you came for, but if we succeed, you'll see we're not just another species to obliterate." The leader reclined, considering the proposal. "We accept your challenge, humans. But be warned, if you fail, we will not hesitate to obliterate you." "Fair," Callahan replied, unfazed as the screen flickered off, leaving the control platform in tense silence. V looked at Callahan, his throat parched. "Captain, do you comprehend the gravity of your actions?" Callahan turned to him, his expression serious yet determined. "I've secured us time, V, a chance to demonstrate that we are more than mere victims to be crushed." V could only stare, torn between fear and reluctant admiration. Callahan had altered the stakes, but whether this would lead to survival or ruin remained uncertain as the platform buzzed with urgent preparations. Despite everything, V couldn't shake the feeling that the tempest hadn't passed, it had merely changed course.